All right, welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. I have I don't know, I say it every week, and they're all special. Everybody's special in their own way. But Josh is a special guest, a fellow Michigander, and actually, you don't live too far down the road.
No, no.
Yeah. So introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Josh Hillyard. I'm the Whitetail Community Manager over at First Light, and yeah, I live in Michigan. Live on the southeast side of the state, but grew up not too far from you, James. Pretty close. I grew up on the west side of the state, so very familiar with where you guys are at. And
Why'd you move over there? What were you
oh
not good enough? Like, what did we do?
no, well, I you know you get married and things change, right? you end up you end up moving where your wife's from typically, and I love West Michigan. I'd probably go back there in a heartbeat if that chance ever arose. But this is where we ended up. She's from this area, and we moved about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes away from her hometown. So it's still nice to have family and grandparents to help with the kids and not be too far from my parents. They can get here in under 2 hours. So it works out pretty good. Works out
Yeah.
good.
So you you were west side. You grew up around
Yep.
west side of Michigan. Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. I'm partial, but no, the east side's great. You guys actually have good hunting.
Yeah.
What county are you in?
I'm in
Am I
Livingston. I'm in Livingston
okay.
County, right
Yeah.
on the edge of Livingston and Oakland.
Yeah, there's good deer hunting in there.
There's a surprising amount of public land in this area too. It gets hit really hard,
Yeah.
but there's at least places to get out from the hustle and bustle where you feel like, I can drive 5-10 minutes and be out in a bunch of public land, and it's not too many people around, especially like during the week. I'll try to get out and do some hunts during the week, and it can be pretty quiet if you can get out there on certain days.
Well, that's been my trick. Weekday mornings. If you want to
Yep.
be alone in the woods, you go on like
Yeah.
a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
I never run into anybody during the week, and so that's been my kind of my trick. Especially last year, I've got my work. I start kind of around 10. It's virtual. I work with people
Yep.
on the more on the west side of the country, and so it does make, like, you get more time in the morning. Like, I get up,
Yeah.
I hunt, I come back, I shower, I go to work. I know I don't exercise as much, but I feel like hunting kind of counts.
Yeah, for sure. You're getting out there, you're climbing trees, you're setting up stands, you're doing all that hiking in. So
Shivering.
I think it counts.
Yeah. No,
You're
that's
burning
cool.
calories.
Yeah, Michigan. It's always been crazy to me, how many people we have on from. It's usually Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. Either they're
Yeah.
from there, they live there now, or they're, planning on
Yep.
going back there.
Very rich in hunting traditions in those states that you just mentioned. And yeah, it's Michigan especially seems like everybody you talk to, or at least knows somebody here that grew up hunting, or it seems like there's a lot of influence from the Michigan area in the hunting world these days.
Yeah, even we had your, just like I told you kind of prior to this recording, hunting. This is a hunting story series. We had your fellow Michigander buddy Mark Kenyon on a couple weeks, maybe a couple months ago now, telling stories of pooping in his stand. So like, yeah, I mean, you have some, like, you have something to live up to. We'll get to that in a minute, but like prior to that, and all the kind of stories that you might be able to come up with. But like, what do you do? What's your job?
Yeah, so my job, essentially, I'm on the marketing team for First Light, and most of my job revolves around our whitetail pro team, and kind of being the conduit from from First Light to our pro team members, and making sure they have what they need, making sure that we're communicating different things that are coming down the line, help out with product development and getting gear tested, getting photos and all that kind of stuff from our pro team members. And I also do some work on our conservation front of, working on some donations and philanthropic stuff that we do, involved on that side of things as well. So marketing, mostly, and doing some grassroots stuff. primarily focused on the whitetail side of things.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fair Chase podcast. We're going to take a few seconds here to thank a few sponsors that helped make this show possible.
We are big fans of having glass with you when you're in the woods. So whether we're turkey hunting, bear hunting, deer hunting, whatever we're doing, we're bringing some sort of glass. Actually, one of the new fun pieces of glass that we've added to our collection were the UHD 18x56s.
Big boys.
I like them because then you don't need to bring a full spotter, and you can still do pretty well.
Yeah.
I like the 2 eyes. So we love Vortex. We use a lot of their optics on our rifles, on our chest when we're out.
Rangefinders, they got
rangefinders, amazing. So we'll love them. Go check them out. And actually, if you're going to buy some, check out Midway USA and use the promo code TFC10 for 10% off your order. I promise you won't be disappointed. Go check them out, Vortex Optics.
HuntWise is an awesome app. There's a lot of them out there. This one's definitely our favorite. They're local here in Grand Rapids, have their headquarters here. They have an awesome HuntCast 2.0 that's going to give you weather prediction, wind prediction, anything based off the pin and property that you're hunting to give you the best day to get out there and hunt. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Go get this app, huntwise.com.
It's no secret we've been shooting method arrows for a long time. Well, it might be because they used to be called vector arrows. Their method arrows now are super tough, great shooting arrows, great weight. And what's really cool about them is you enter your bow specs in, weight, draw length, all that stuff, and they will send
no charts, no more charts.
No more.
Let them deal with it.
The smart dudes who we've had on our show in the past figure it out for you, send you ready to go arrows,
ready to shoot.
Go check them out. Method Archery. We've shot a lot of bows, but for the past 5 or so years, we've been shooting prime bows. Love the way they shoot, super stable. And what we're really excited about, great warranty. And this year they rolled out the RevX series, which is pretty sweet. We've been talking about the different RevXs we're going to be shooting.
And you're going in the 6Y?
I'm deciding to shoot the 36, which is a
the
longer
only reason
axis,
he's choosing the 36
is because I figure the bigger the bow, the bigger the buck. So we're going to test that out. Follow us this year to see if that actually happens. But that's what I'm shooting. You're shooting the RevX 4. Yep. So anyways, we love Prime. Michigan company. Great guys. Go check them out. G5prime.com. We put a lot of miles on whether we're hunting.
Boots.
Yeah, on our boots. Whether it's Alaska out west, even here in Michigan.
Let's just say the muck boots were left in the truck.
Yes. So we need something that's comfortable, that'll keep us dry, that's durable, and actually we like a little stiffer soled when we're hunting from our platform or when we're saddle hunting. So we wear Lathrop & Son boots. I've been wearing the Mountain Hunter Encompass, and yours is the
Mountain Hunter Elite.
Great boots. Great guys from down in Illinois, the Lathrop brothers. Had them on an episode in the past. Go check it out. Go check out their boots, Lathrop & Sons.
If you didn't already know that James and I are saddle hunters, then you do now. And if you don't like it, then go listen to somebody else because we're going to talk about saddles. We wear Trophy Line tree saddles because we think they're awesome. And they come out with some awesome new products all the time. They just came out with a new Venatic saddle that is seriously the best saddle I've ever sat in. And I've sat in quite a bit of them. They also have the new Onyx platform out.
I spent some time on it this fall.
I've spent some time on it. It's pretty sweet. And they're going to continue to come out with sweet products just like those two. So stay tuned to them. They've got social media, trophyline.com. And save yourself 10%. TFC 10.
It's no use having an awesome bow if you don't have great accessories. So sights, stabilizers, things like that. And so that's why we chose to work with Redline Bow Accessories. And so those guys are coming out with amazing new things, whether it be new stabilizers or sights like this. If you're watching on our YouTube or video podcast, this new torch sight. So we're huge fans of this sight. Double pin. You know what? Go check out our past episode with them or check out their website. There's a ton to like about this site. Their stabilizers are great, and actually some of their quivers are incredible.
Yes.
So go check them out. Listen to the last episode we did with them. Oh, and save yourself 10% with the code TFC10.
Yeah, it's been fun to follow. Over the last, now it's been years now, as you guys have kind of leaned into the whitetail stuff.
Yeah.
Being a Western brand and then just diving like headfirst into all things whitetail and coming out with some pretty cool stuff. So it's been fun to follow.
Yeah, it's been really fun, from someone who used the gear to now someone that works there, it's been awesome to see the commitment to the whitetail customer for sure.
Yep, guys like us love it. Now, I mean, we've kind of, like I told you ahead of time, and like people who listen know, we love hunting stories. We now, when this podcast will come out, it'll be a couple of weeks ago. We had Greg Farrell on, and a lot of what he talked about, and is something that we hear a lot. It's like community, right? So like.
Yep.
He talked about hunting stories, but he's like, when I think of a hunting story, and he's one of the majority of people, when he thinks of like hunting, he thinks of all the people he's with. So his buddies, his, cousins, brothers, whatever,
Yep.
Now when you think of a hunting story, like, is that what comes to mind for you too? What sticks out?
Yeah, I think I think Greg hit the nail on the head. I mean, so much of what you go back and think about is the people that you spend those you have those experiences with and spend time with in deer camp, or sitting in a blind together, or driving on a trip together with your buddies to go do something. I mean, that's hunting can so often be like especially deer hunting can be such a solitary pursuit, right? You're sitting up in a tree by yourself 95% of the time. I think there's definitely good things that happen by yourself in a tree, right? But like, I feel like those core memories are made when you're hanging out in camp with your friends or family or whatever, and just kind of having a good time. That's what I always like when I think about like the deer, the gun opener in Michigan. Like, I can't wait to go up north. Like, it's the deer hunting part of it is secondary, right? Like, you go out there to have a good time, have a beer or two, and just like relax and unplug and have a good time with friends and family. So like, that's what I think of when I'm thinking of like November 15th. It's like, all right, I can't wait to,
That's right.
to get up north and hang out. And it's almost like a break from the rut, the bow hunting rut, where just like all day sits, just like the monotony of that. It's
intense.
like, all right, it's almost like a break, right? It's like a vacation. You're going hunting, but it's almost like a vacation from hunting. If you know what I mean.
It's funny because it's like, whenever I think of it, it's like, yep, exactly. You get like this break from hunting. It's when all these old guys, old and young, get together, and everybody sits back kind of in their chair like that, and they just say, you know what the deer are doing right now? It's like, and then they just make up something that totally out of like, they're never tied to reality.
No,
what they're doing right now, they're up on the ridge. It's like, okay, probably not.
It's always the best to like, you maybe stay in the cabin a little bit longer and have that extra cup of coffee. You're like, I'm not too worried about. I'll fill me up. I'll have another cup of coffee.
Now they're not moving yet, anyways. You know what? Exactly. That is the classic I hear. It's like, deer aren't moving yet. They're moving later right now. Yeah, I'm sure during the day after gun season opens, they're moving later.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So you haven't pooped in your stand to try and bury it?
Not exactly. That I have not pooped in my blind, or I don't think I've done it out of the stand either, but I have had some interesting stories along that front, but we'll save those for another day.
I have friends who hunt on occasion, and but they give me a hard time. They're like, you poop an inordinate amount of time in the woods. I'm like, dude, I'm out every single morning in the fall. Like, you have like, I'm on a strict schedule. At some point, like, I just have to do what I got to do. And
Yep. Yeah. Hey, when nature calls, and nature seems to call me more often than others, it seems like. And sometimes I'm in a good situation. Sometimes I'm in not so good of a situation.
Right. You get like all excited. I have a brother-in-law, and I might have told this on the podcast before. I'll take him out hunting, and every single morning we'll get out, we'll park the car. I got all my stuff on my back. You know how grabbing it out of the truck and making sure your backpack's got all the stuff attached to it and cinched down, and you got your stuff on. You're like, all right, I got this weight. I got my bow in hand. He's like, oh, and his family calls me Jimmers. It's like there's a movie for people who are listening, The Jimmer. Anyways, Jimmers, they'll call me Escanaba in the Moonlight. That's the movie. And he'll be like, hey, Jimmers, one sec. And then he'll drop all his stuff and go sit in the bushes. And I'm like, right on the side of the road, school bus is gonna come by or something, get sent to jail. So no, that's awesome. I mean, you're obviously primarily a whitetail hunter, right? That's
Yep.
the majority of what you do.
Yep.
So I and obviously community is important and all this, but like say you have to think of like when I say, man, what's a great hunting story you've lived? Like one that when you think, man, that's a great story, what comes to your head that you've been a part of?
Yeah, man, I've got a couple. Like my mind always kind of just generally goes back to like my first year. You know, I did not grow up in a hunting family. Just not something that my dad did or really any of my like close family members. So I really didn't grow up hunting. You know, I went out a handful of times in high school with Mark, and with another friend and his dad, mostly during gun season, but um I would never have considered myself as like a hunter, you know, right? I went out with the, you know, opening day gun season and sat with my friend's dad and kind of he turned me loose like maybe a time or two by myself where he was, you know, within a, you know, decent enough, you know, space of me to kind of keep an eye on me. And I was like 17, like 16, 17. So
Right.
I kind of knew what I was, you know, I was safe. I knew what I was doing for the
Yeah.
most part, but again, just kind of like one of those things, went out a time or two during high school. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I just didn't have anybody to continue kind of taking me. Went off to college, played baseball through college. It took up all my time, right?
Where'd you go?
Spring. Started off 2 years down in a little community college down in Illinois, and then I came back to Grand Valley and finished up at Grand Valley State.
Okay.
So you know, we had fall ball and then spring, so just like it just took up all my time. But
What position? Sorry to interrupt again.
yeah,
What would you
no,
play?
I was an infielder.
All right. For what like, is that a first, second, third
Like
base?
second base, third base primarily, threw in a little shortstop
Oh,
when
nice.
I
All
had
right,
to.
cool.
So
That's cool.
but yeah, that was good times. But yeah, finished that and then like after school, I was like, all right, I really need to find something to kind of, you know, I don't know, like if you know, feel like the competitive side of me.
I was
I don't
gonna
know if
ask
that was
about
it, but
that.
like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just something to like kind of like fulfill like a void I felt like I had going on. It's like, well, I need to get back into hunting. I enjoyed that. I have some time now. I've got a job. I've got some money. You know, I can get started on that kind of stuff. And Mark Kenyon, who you were talking about a minute ago, kind of took me under his wing, and we were buddies. We grew up together, so we kind of got back into hunting together. And first time I ever went out on my own with bow, where I'm at a piece of property that he had access on, and on there, I think his dad was there that weekend, and then him, and we're all spread out, and I get up into the tree, and like shit you not, within the first hour, I've got it, like first hour on my own with the bow, I got a deer coming in right to me, like this little basket rack, like 8-pointer. I think he's a 9-pointer, or like a 2.5, you know, tight
Yeah,
little
yeah.
9-pointer. And this thing just walks right to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this hunting stuff is the easiest thing ever.
Right.
You know, pull back, I shoot him, and I hit forward. And it's just like one of those things, is like inexperience, right? You just like the moment got the best of me, and I hit forward, and I got like zero penetration. Like the whole arrow's like still sticking out. I just
Yeah.
put it right in his scapula there, and just didn't bust through it. And man, talk about like first hunt, highest to highest to the lowest of lows. We searched all night for that deer. We went out the next morning, looked for him, and nothing. Just like very little like specks of blood is like all we'd find. And
Right.
pretty confident that deer was just fine. But like okay, it's like I could do this. You
Yeah.
know, I'll have my opportunities. I'll be able to shoot a deer and kind of do all that stuff and get some venison for the freezer. And it's like, all right, this is not too bad. First time out, I can do this. Went the whole rest of the year without any opportunities.
Of course.
You know, it's like I really wanted my first deer to be a buck. That's just like kind of what I had in my head. And so like passed up opportunities at does. Now I look back at it as like I should have been shooting every doe I could to
Right.
get that experience,
Right.
to just kind of learn what I was doing. And but for some reason I just had this like, all right, gotta shoot a buck first year. So when all the rest of the season, no opportunities. Fast forward the next year, again, hunted quite a bit, no opportunities. Like, oh geez, like this is this is like one of those things never going to happen.
Right.
The following year. So this would have been, so my first year hunting was 2009, 10, something like that.
Okay.
Might have
Yeah.
been 9. I don't know. But I shot
Okay.
my first deer then. So go all the way through my third full season hunting, and we're into like December. It's like the end of the year. I was like, this just is not going to happen. I go out on a muzzleloader hunt at Mark's place again. And, it's one of those things where I just didn't really have any expectations. I was kind of just beat down from 3 years of like not much happening. And from my first hunt, having an opportunity now to like 3 years later, just like not really going my way. And lo and behold, get set up. Kind of Mark is walking around to his spot, and at this time I was carrying around like a little handy cam and doing some self filming.
Oh,
and,
nice. Yeah.
giving some stuff to Mark for his wired to hunt stuff, and having a good time doing that. And so I get up in the tree, get all set up. You know how it is, like setting up camera gear takes forever.
Yeah.
And turn around, sit down, and I don't know, maybe 10 minutes at the most, a doe and a little buck come, a doe and like a little 8-point, 2.5-year-old buck come walking out of the swamp. I go, holy cow. And grab my muzzleloader, and it's like I can remember it, but like the moment, like I don't remember it, right? Like I remember them
Totally.
walking out, and then like the next thing I know, like I shoot, and the buck bounds off maybe 20 yards and just like expires right before he goes back in the swamp. Like, holy cow, like what happened? I'm like freaking out. I was like, this is incredible. This is wild. Like felt like, just again, super high, but also like, all right, I just killed like first animal. So kind of having some of that like
that's a big
remorse,
moment.
right? Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, what did I do? And it's just like a wild story, because like this all happened so fast. Mark was just getting into his tree and getting set up, and he's doing like a quick like interview as he's first getting up in the tree.
Yep.
And you can hear me shoot in his video. He's like, oh my gosh, I think Josh just shot a deer. So like I don't even think he ended up hunting that. He's like, all right, I'm getting down and coming back. But yeah, it was just like it felt like a long time coming. I know a lot of people have probably gone a lot longer. I hear stories of, my dad or my grandpa went 20 years before he shot his first
Right.
deer, it's like that, those kind of stories. So it's like, I know it's like in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't a long time, but it felt like in the moment, it's like, all right, this is never going to happen. As someone who's just kind of getting into it and not knowing what to expect out of the bat, right off the bat, getting an opportunity and then having to wait, a couple years to, fill my first tag. But yeah, it was an incredible night, incredible moment. One that, I can still, I've got the skull plate like in the kids nursery, like up over the crib, and every time I go in there, it just like takes you right back to that, right where I was sitting, know exactly what happened. I think it was like December 17th or 18th. Is like maybe one of the last couple of days of the muzzleloader season, in the southern part of the state. And man, it's just like I can't believe that was 11, 12 years ago, whatever it was already. Like, just crazy how fast time goes, and kind of how that moment kind of like set off this like significant things in my life that have changed like trajectory of what I'm doing and like
because
where
you
I'm
jumped
at.
in with both feet. You were like, you've
yeah
been in deer for a while now.
yeah and it's like,
and even as a career, like you
right,
were,
and it just like totally changed like what I wanted to do. And like I knew before that, but like that moment like solidified the fact like, all right, I'm a hunter, this is what I want to do, this like feels natural to me. Just like it's something I always felt like I was missing. Right, like had friends that would do it. I had some family down in Ohio that would do it, that hunted, and like I always like wanted, like I always like lived vicariously through them, and like wanting to do the things that they were doing and all that kind of stuff, and just like didn't have those opportunities. And that was just like a kind of a culminating event in my life. It's like, all right, kind of just set off something inside of me that changed who I wanted to, what I wanted to do with my life. And I was working a corporate job in the finance world that, I just graduated school a couple years ago, and like I was enjoying what I was doing. It was like I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do forever. So like at that point, I like, all right, I wanted to do things that would allow me to hunt more and have like more ability to do some stuff and just try to learn as much as I could, over the next, several years. And
Now, I have a quick question about
yeah,
that because, when we first met, you were at, were you at, were you at QDMA?
yep. I was at the time QDMA. It's now the
Now it's
National
Nash.
Deer
Yeah, that was what I was trying to get in my head.
Yep.
So you say you mentioned wanting to hunt more, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times
Yep.
I'll talk to people who go to work in the hunting industry, and they're like, I wanted to hunt more, and
Yeah.
now when it's fall, I hunt less. Like, have you
Yeah.
realized
That's a
that?
real thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you hunt
Yeah.
more?
I'll say I hunt, well, probably yes. Now, like in the role that I'm in, I'm very fortunate to get to go on some cool trips and do some awesome, some fun
Yeah.
stuff, and a part of that is hunting, right? I will say uh, I hunt less probably at home than
Okay.
I did in the past. Like I'm on the road quite a bit, which is a blessing and a curse, right? Like I've got 2 little kids at home. So when I'm at home, I find myself like feeling guilty if I,
Sure.
run out to, and maybe guilty is the wrong word because I want to spend time with my family. I don't want it to sound like I don't want to do that, but it's like when I'm home, I feel this like I need to be home, help the kids get off to school.
Responsibility,
Yeah,
general,
exactly.
responsibility.
I'm gone for like a week at a time here. Like I think my first year at First Light, I think I was on the road for like 8 weeks, 9 weeks out of the fall.
Yeah.
At that time we only had 1 kid, but it's like that takes a toll on the family for sure. And so when I was home, I just tried to be home more, and I'd still get out to hunt a bit here and there. Mostly like it was more like afternoons, right? Like especially like after the time change, you can be home for dinner and bedtime. Still help get people out the door in the morning, kids out the door in the morning. And but yeah, I think like I'm hunting more, definitely hunting more. But that is a real thing. Like when I was at I guess when I was at QDMA or NDA, it was kind of our slower time during hunting season because
Nice. Yeah.
a lot of our volunteers wanted to be hunting. They didn't want to be hosting events. They didn't want to be doing a bunch of stuff. There's obviously still events that revolved around hunting. We hosted like new hunter events and those field to fork type of events that I helped put on and was at quite a few of, and different events revolved around hunting, buck poles and things like that. But
Yeah.
um, kind of a lot of the banquets and stuff like that had wrapped for the year, because the volunteers didn't want to be dealing with that stuff during hunting
No,
season.
you're busy. Yeah. No, it's good. It's funny. Your first hunt, my first hunt was very similar. Like I was as a kid, I got obsessed with hunting.
Yeah.
Growing up, obsessed with animals. I had like a serious whale phase for whatever reason where I
Yep.
knew all the like, and then there were this guy was pretty nerdy, I guess, but like big cats. So like I knew all the lions, tigers, everything. And then it came to hunting, and my couple of my uncles would kind of like send me magazines. So they'd get like
Yep.
North American Whitetail. I got subscribed
Oh,
every year from one of my uncles, so I'd get it
Yep.
coming in regularly. So they'd go out, and my dad would go. He hunts. He's not like an avid hunter, but he'll hunt every year.
Yep.
So he'd go, and I'd wait at home for him. And when he'd drive up to the cabin, and he's a pastor, so I'd be in the parsonage back home. I would be sitting out while he was hunting with a stick on a bucket in my backyard.
Yep.
And then when he'd go home, and then I'd hear from him, and we'd share hunting stories. But my first time out, finally, I was just dying to get out. Got my bow. It's Michigan. It's 12 years old. For here, at least when I was growing up, and I go sit out there, and it's the walk now is you are a stone throw and a half off a road, off a
Yep.
dirt road. Like you are not, and you're fairly close to houses. Like you are not. But I remember as a kid with my bow walking through those dark woods to my stand at 12, freaked out.
Yep.
So the
Yep.
walk out there just took forever. I'm saying Psalm 23 out loud because I'm terrified. I don't know any about what. And I remember I get up, and daylight breaks, and sure enough, like a big doe, 5-point, and like another small doe. They must have been siblings or something, come rolling through, and 15 yards, I think even less. I think it was like 12 yards, but I obviously, I see the giant doe and I see this little buck and I'm of course like, oh, I'm shooting the buck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he comes by and I sent it right over his back, like not even close. Like it's like, and I remember I didn't even care. I'm like, I can't wait to get back to tell everybody I just shot
Yeah.
at a buck. Like
Yep.
you guys,
Yep.
I'm a pro,
Yeah.
but same thing, like you said, for me after that, it took me years to get a deer with my bow for sure.
Yeah.
And I had to
Yep.
wait 2 years before I could even use a rifle. So,
Yep.
uh, it was a long time for me just
Yeah.
to be wandering in the woods. Usually just for a while, man, especially when I was little, I was just terrified to walk around in the night
Oh,
or,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
dark without, and now it's like, I go without a flashlight anywhere and it's like,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny, those like stick in your head. I can picture that day very vividly, very vividly.
Yeah, man. I know what you mean. And I did so I shot that deer with my first deer with a muzzleloader. And then it was, I guess maybe it was the next year I killed my first buck with a bow in Ohio. But man, I've had some serious learning experiences even since then, right? Like it's just like every time you go out, it's a learning experience and something happens. But I've done my fair share of shooting over their backs or shooting under them.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I just remember it would come out and it's like, I thought about this for so long. I've consumed, at this point, it was all magazines, but I've consumed so many hunting stories. I would read those magazines from cover to cover,
Yeah.
watch the videos. It's like all of a sudden a deer comes out and I don't know, what am I supposed to do right now?
Exactly.
Like it's like there are too many options. I just,
Yeah.
it's like overload. And for a while I had that, I'm like, wait, what do I do right now? And I think, speaking to a lot of new hunters, I think that's generally like that's a pretty common feeling or thought.
Yep.
Like, oh shoot, now there's actually, what do I do now that there's a deer right there?
Yep. Yeah, I've been fortunate to get to go on. I've been on several people's kind of first hunt as a part of QDMA's Field to Fork program.
Right. Yep.
Got to go on like a youth hunt and sit with I think he was 12 or 13 and he shot his first deer. I was with a gentleman who killed his first turkey as a part of our Field to Fork program, kind of a guy who I mentored during the deer program, the deer season. And then we met back up during turkey season and was able to get him on. But yeah, I mean, it's like the emotions that happen, like even before he pulled the trigger, it's just like in that moment of truth, man, it's so hard to like keep it together for someone who's never done it before. And it's like you're doing things like you do things that you're like, why did I do that?
Right.
Why, like what was I thinking? And it's like you weren't thinking, you were just like reacting, right? It's like
your adrenaline.
Exactly. So like the more you put yourself in those situations, and I'm still trying to do this, right? Like I still get that, as in that moment of truth, I'm not the best at it, right? Like I struggle with some of that stuff, and that's something I still work on to this day. And I think like part of it's like if I ever lose that, like, well, maybe I'm not doing it for the right reasons, right? Like it's a big thing, and to have those, the adrenaline kind of rush, like I never want to lose that, but I also got to figure out a way to better compose myself in those situations, right?
Yeah, I remember even like as a kid, I remember thinking, I actually think they can hear my heartbeat. It's beating so loud. It's like it's so loud. I'm pretty sure my chest is just like the cartoons, how they go.
Like there's times I like that deer can for sure see me shaking my legs.
Oh, well, we're coming up on time here, Josh, but I appreciate you coming on, sharing some stories and just catching up. We always have a good time with you on. But and I like to end this way with a lot of our guests, but for people who want to follow the stuff that you're doing with the whitetail community, First Light and stuff, how can they follow along?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way, if you're looking for what First Light is all about and what we do and some of the products we have, I think just firstlight.com is where you can find all of our gear. Follow the brand on social media and see what we're doing there. Gosh, I probably should know my Instagram handle. I think it's just josh.hilliard is my Instagram. I don't post a ton of stuff on there, but I'm active from time to time. But yeah, that's probably the best way to kind of keep up with what I'm doing.
Yeah, excellent. Well, we appreciate you coming on. Everybody go check them out. You know, you guys are always doing fun stuff. Great stuff to follow. Great. A ton of new stuff this year coming out from you
Yeah.
guys, including I
Yep.
think what you're wearing right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so fun, good stuff. Go check them out. Appreciate it, Josh. Thanks for the time.
Oh, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
All right. I think that does it.